Well, good evening and thanks for joining us on 13 News Now. I'm Bethany Reese.
And I'm Dana Smith. Polls closed in Virginia just about 90 minutes ago and about an hour ago in North Carolina.
And you just heard ABC News has called many races, including North Carolina governor's race for Democrat Josh Stein. But of course, the presidential race top of mind. Let's get a look at some of these results.
All right, Bethany Reese joins us in the studio with a check on the numbers coming in tonight from the Associated Press. Bethany.
Well, first, guys, I want to talk about our country as a whole when it comes to the big race, the presidential race between Trump and Harris. The number to hit here when it comes to these electoral votes, 270. Trump now sitting at 177. That's about 70 more than we saw 20 minutes ago. So these results starting to really barrel in. States like Texas now seeing Trump as the projected winner. We're also seeing states really in the Midwest start to get called. North Dakota coming in with Trump. We also have South Dakota here coming in with Trump as the projected winner. Now, of course, more on the East Coast, Vermont, other states like that starting to call Harris as the projected winner. But look at our country as a whole one more time. We're still sitting at that 177 for Trump. Obviously, still waiting on the western states to come into play here as their polls close in a few hours. 198 for Trump, the number to win, 270. Let's focus on our states here. Virginia, when it comes to that presidential race, it's been a back and forth between Trump and Harris. Harris now edging out Trump at 49.4%, 48.9% for Trump, 81% reporting in Virginia. As for North Carolina, 69% reporting Trump edging out Harris, 52.5%.
Bethany Reese is at the touchscreen tonight tracking the presidential returns. And Bethany, what are you seeing right now?
Well, guys, before I even get to the presidential race, I want to start with breaking news here. We know ABC now declaring Tim Kaine the winner, or the projected winner, in the Senate race.
Now, Bethany, I know you're keeping an eye on those Virginia House races.
I want to talk about District 2, where we just saw Emily and Alex one more time. Again, 51.4, almost 52% reporting. We're looking at Kiggins taking a stronger lead here. It was pretty neck and neck, but she's coming a little further ahead with that 52%. But bigger story here, except for District 2, the other districts we were watching in our area have been called. We'll start with District 1. We kind of knew this was going to be the case. Whitman coming out on top in District 1. In District 2, we're still waiting on the results there. We just talked about District 3. We called this earlier. Bobby Scott winning over Sitka with 69.9%. And then District 4 finally getting called. McClellan coming in as the winner with 61%. So these have been the races we've really been watching. We knew District 2 would come down to the wire. Right now, Trump sitting with 214 electoral votes. He needs 270 to take the win. We'll have a full breakdown of this coming up in just minutes.
And us again to break down that and other races in the Tar Heel State.
So first, I want to start with the presidential race for North Carolina. Right now, both candidates still neck and neck, about 82% reporting Trump taking the lead with 50%. They've been going back and forth, red and blue. Let's talk about District 1 here. This has also been a tight race. We just got this in. You heard it moments ago. North Carolina now projecting Trump as the winner. This is according to the Associated Press, coming in with 50.8%. Virginia does not have a projected winner yet, but Trump now sitting at 230 electoral college votes. Harris at 179. You need 270 to win. So this race starting to separate just a little bit.
Anthony, you've been here since the polls closed last night, monitoring everything. No one expected to see results roll in for the election this early.
No one expected results to come in before we even really hit daybreak, and no one expected this much leaning red.
For the official count to come in. Is that right, Bethany?
Look, we're trying to be as accurate as we possibly can for you. We're basing our tallies here off of the AP, so the Associated Press and ABC. Right now, Trump, for us, sitting with 267 electoral votes. Now, I know a lot of people are saying this race is called. 270. He has it. We are waiting on two states. We're waiting on Michigan right now, still tallying their votes. 85% reported in Michigan, and we're waiting on Wisconsin with 90% reporting, still waiting to see who gets those electoral votes. That will then take us to that 270 mark for Trump, or we'll see if this leans with Harris, something we are tracking, we are waiting. We assume this will lean in Trump's direction. When it does, we will bring that to you live here on air. Eugene, I want to talk about Virginia and North Carolina in this presidential race. Virginia was actually a long time coming. We waited hours to finally get Virginia declared. Kamala Harris coming out on top in Virginia, but North Carolina, which was a swing state for us here, a different story. And this was called much earlier than Virginia was called. Trump coming out on top with 51% in North Carolina. So kind of things just happening that we didn't expect, especially with swing states like North Carolina. Breaking news this morning, Donald Trump, the projected winner of the 2024 presidential race, coming in with more than 270 electoral votes.
President Trump has met the threshold.
Met the threshold hours, days before we thought he would. We have 277 electoral votes right now for Donald Trump. 224 for Kamala Harris.
There are still big races we're waiting for.
Yeah, look, the presidential one, believe it or not, was actually one of the quickest races called in North Carolina. Then the governor followed. We've been waiting on a few ever since. Once the governor came, we then had the attorney general race. The presidential race was called with Trump early on. The races we're still waiting on. U.S. House District 1 in North Carolina between Davis and Buckout. This has been a tight race, neck and neck from the beginning. This one, Buckout says she's still going to fight, even though technically she's still behind. It could lead to a recount there. Now, we're also waiting on Lieutenant Governor with 100% reporting Hunt in the lead, 49.4%, but we've not seen an official call for Hunt's win here. We're also waiting on official call for Secretary of State for North Carolina this morning. Marshall beating out Brown right now, percentage-wise, 50.9%, 100% reporting, but still, again, waiting for that official call from AP on Marshall being the winner. Some of these races just too close to make that significant call just yet. No, guys, when we talked about this, even us, we said, hey, it's going to be days until we get this. Just like that, these states started coming in, even swing states, earlier than we projected. Like you said, Trump hitting that 277 mark. We were waiting for swing states. We were waiting to see those, and we weren't waiting long. 277, he only needed 270 to secure the presidency, to secure that win. Now the projected winner of the 2024 presidential election. We've been breaking this down by the numbers across our states. Virginia actually took longer than North Carolina to call. You mentioned swing states causing the problems of waiting to see that final result. We sat at about 267 for Trump for some time until Wisconsin, again, about an hour ago, said that they had those 10 votes and we were able to call the race, coming in at more than 270. Now I want to talk about not only the sweep we're seeing of red across our country for this presidential race, but let's talk about the House and Senate. So the House right now, not fully declared, but look at this, 180 to 198, starting to lean Republican for the House. The Senate has been called. We are seeing a flip in the Senate, now flipping to red. So that means red for the Senate, potentially red for the House, and red for the United States. Big races. I'm going to talk about local races coming up in just a few minutes. Some of those involving the House for Virginia. A lot of those guys deciding races for some of this.
20.
Look, we thought this was going to look almost exactly like 2020. Yep. Took days, right, to get results for the presidential election in 2020. Took hours to get these results. So already very different. But let's talk about it. I'm going to walk over to where I've been all morning. Y'all have been watching me all morning at this monitor, and I want to break it down for you piece by piece for our states here. Let's talk about Virginia first.
Bring back Bethany Reese for a final wrap of the results from overnight. Bethany, a lot to unpack here.
A lot to unpack. Results still pouring in this morning for some areas, but again, we can confirm Donald Trump, the projected winner of the 2024 presidential election. I want to talk about the Senate and the House right here. So the House leaning red, but they still need 218 to get that majority. The Senate, though, has flipped to Republican here this morning with 52 seats filled already. Now let's talk about Virginia. We are still waiting for one race here in the House. This is District 2 with Cotter Smozzle and Kiggins, 51, 46.9%. Kiggins has claimed victory. We're still waiting for the official report. We're also waiting for the official call for District 1 in North Carolina, 49.4 for Davis, 47.9 for Buckout. Analysts say this could go to a recount based on how tight this was in North Carolina. We're also waiting on Lieutenant Governor to be called between Hunt and Weatherman. Hunt right now on top, and Secretary of State still waiting for calls here. Marshall and Brown 1 point apart. This also going to be a close race for North Carolina. We'll be tracking that all day long. Hey, I'm also tracking your traffic. Let's take a final look at your traffic here this morning. It's an easy morning right now, just congestion a little bit on the roads, but nothing substantial. Craig?
Democrats, they're trying to steal back control of the House Already, Republicans obviously have the White House, Bethany, and they have the Senate at this point. So how does the landscape look now in the House?
We're waiting for this number, 218. Republicans currently sitting at 206 to try and win the House. I want to talk about some of the House races that we're watching here that are actually impacting this balance of power. Walk with me over to the monitor where we have been following this race and these races from the beginning. The House races that we are waiting on right now for our area, North Carolina District 1. This is one that we're waiting to see, Davis or Buckout. Now, right now, Davis sits at 49.4, but many saying this is too close to call, and analysts saying this could go to a recount. As for the Virginia House, we're already seeing everyone called, and it kind of looks like the country as a whole, right? We have District 2 and District 1 Republican, District 3 and District 4 Democrat. So that just shows that balance we're starting to see across our country.